Yeah, 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 now let's go. Do you hear me now? 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 1, 2, 3. Wow! Let your motor run around, round. So ready, better now than ever. Oh, so original. One more time, now let's go. Do you hear me now? 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 So original. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take a pic. I can make you wanna go, never make it out.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this special conversation for the season 2 of Netflix's series Special as part of the OutFronts presented by OutFest. Today, I'm so excited to be talking to Ryan O'Connell, Jessica Hecht, and Punam Patel, who, I mean, season 2, you all, congratulations. It's so great. I guess, Ryan, if I may start with you, since you are the writer, creator, and the star. I saw on Instagram recently you posted yourself seeing yourself on the billboard for season 2. How has this whole experience been to see, people love the show so much season 1, but now you've got season 2, longer episodes. It's also the final season. So tell me about all the feels and emotions you're having.
Well, there are a lot. Too many to name. I mean, it's we worked on this for 2 years, so because of COVID and everything got kind of elongated. So I'm just so happy that people are going to be able to see it. I'm super, super proud of it. I feel like we truly made a banger of a season of television, if I do say so myself. And so just the response has been so overwhelmingly positive, which has been so incredible. I mean, there's a bittersweetness to it because A, it's done. B, we're not doing a proper press moment because of COVID and because everything's virtual. So I kind of miss those celebratory in-person moments. But I'm just happy that people are able to see it. We put a lot of love and care into the season, and it feels like we took them in a complete direction, and it feels like the proper ending of the show. It feels good.
It does feel good. Jessica, you of course play Ryan's mother, and I can tell, before we started recording, the two of you have a bond that's so real. And I mean, tell me about getting to share this with Ryan, because I can tell the love there is real.
Yeah, I just I just really believe in him, and I just truly really am so tickled by him. I guess the way you would feel about your own child, which is that they are sometimes surprising, and you don't want to get too much information, but you can't help but ask. And also, you really are deeply, deeply moved by what they've accomplished, and I think really that is really the feeling we got from the get-go. I will repeat a story that I have told a few times and Ryan has told a few times, but that the way in which we met was obviously through working together those first days of season 1 in Austin, but I didn't know anything about where the show was going, like to Netflix or any aspect of whether I thought it was a webisode that they used to make in the earlier part of this century of this decade. And I just thought that I would do it because I like the writing so much and the story, and I stand by that it's Ryan as a telling his own story that has made me feel so proud. So
Yeah, Jessica thought the show was going to air at a frozen yogurt pop-up shop in
if
Reed.
you were lucky.
Yeah.
If they had Wi-Fi.
Which actually I was very touched. I was like, girl, you're in Austin because you don't even know where this is gonna be? I'm addicted. Okay.
I
It's
love
like,
I love that. Punam, if I may come over to you, and first I just wanted to say that I am so jealous of every scene you shared with Charlie Barnett. Just, I mean, I need to know everything, but we could say that. Obviously, the special at its core is, talking about disability and queer issues. But obviously, for your character, it really goes into what traditions still exist with Indian culture, things that young women trying to make it are going through. So how special of an experience were these 2 seasons to get to tell that story?
Really special, really unique. I don't think I've ever been part of a project that felt so important and authentic. And not just because Ryan is an incredible writer and put together an incredible writer's room that really provided an authentic voice to the story of Kim, but even when we were shooting an episode for the Volley, everyone from locations to props to set deck were so thoughtful and didn't treat being Indian like a monolith. I remember someone from props came up to me and was like, "Oh, we know you're Gujarati. My family is from the state of Gujarat in India. So we researched what type of food Gujarati people eat during this specific holiday, how they celebrate it. And that's what we made for like the dinner table." And I just had never been so thought of on a set and seen as such a full person. So it was a really unique experience. And maybe that's why I'm a little bit sad, because I'm like, what if this never happens again? But I hope things shift where that becomes the norm, because it was really rare. I'd never, first of all, I'd never been on a set with that many Indian people. I didn't know they allowed more than one of us at a time. And it was really great because even despite all of that, even if you're not Indian, you'll be able to relate to that episode, because at the core of it, it's about family dynamics and it's about belonging as a human being and like wanting to find where you belong. And for her in particular, she doesn't quite fit into this super white thin world, but then she also doesn't even fit in with her own family, which is maybe the most heartbreaking place to feel like you don't belong. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Absolutely. And tell me a little bit, how fun was it to do those early episodes with Charlie?
My first day on set was like all the sex scenes with Charlie, but we had gone to dinner beforehand, and he is honestly the sweetest, like kindest person. He made me feel so comfortable. And I think because I could tell, because I was such a fan of his, but I could tell he was just a tiny bit nervous too. It made me feel better that I wasn't like, losing my mind, and he's like so confident. And then it's, I don't know, you guys can speak to this too, but it feels like it's like the buildup to it that's more anxiety inducing. And then once you do one take, you're like, oh yeah, this is not like sexy.
I've never had a sex scene with Charlie though, so I can't really attest. I mean, Charlie is comically dreamy. Me and Punam
He's so hot.
we hung out with him this past weekend, and you guys shouldn't be saying this because it's like not chic, but I like get flustered around him because he's so charming and so nice and so cool. You just kind of don't know what to do.
I felt that. Yeah.
And I think it helps that he's queer, because I think I was like, oh, he's not gonna like get hard when I'm on top of him right now. Like I was like, I hope he doesn't feel how wet I'm getting, but I know he's not gonna get it. He's like, I didn't have to worry about that.
Low.
I know. I was like, how are they doing this? Because that one scene is like so low, and then I was like, I don't know what is covering or not covering, but props to Charlie for just going there. But since we are talking about sex, Ryan, I'm going to come back to you because as a gay man watching this, even more so in season 2, I was like, these are very honest sex scenes. They're very real. And by the way, Ryan, he's got a couple different suitor options in this season. I mean, 3, I think, at least. So tell me a bit, for you as a creator and the writer, how important it was to make these, relationship scenes and the sex scenes very real and authentic, because oftentimes we don't get that when it comes to, our portrayals.
Yeah, and I think that was sort of the impetus of wanting to do it, because I think gay sex has really either been largely ignored, or it's existed in these really narrow confines of being like super hot, sexy, eroticized, some like Rihanna song remixed by Meth plays in the background as people thrust, or it's like closeted, like look the other way in the darkness, or like there's the moon. Like it's not she. So I really wanted to kind of pick up where season 1 left off with Ryan losing his virginity and continue with those honest sex scenes. And each sex scene I think really serves the story. I think sex you can tell a lot about a character and where they are, and so I think it's a really interesting way to chart someone's growth. And yeah, I mean, they're not super fun to shoot, but I feel like they're very, very important because gay sex is so many things all at once, and I don't like that we haven't really gotten the fair treatment that straight sex has gotten. I've had to suffer through so many straight sex scenes in my life. Oh my God. So it's nice to make straight people suffer for once.
Well, speaking of that, Jessica, if I can come back up to you, I have to ask you this season, Karen, your character, gets, she goes through a lot. There's the repairing the relationship with Ryan, the mother passing away, but then you kind of get your groove back. Part of that ends up being dancing by a pool with Leslie Jordan. So tell me everything about that, because Leslie Jordan is a national treasure.
He is, and he is as intoxicating as you think he might be, truly as intoxicating as you think he might be. And I thought that Karen could even be a swinger. No, I won't even go there. It would be
No, go there. Yeah.
why not? But no, I felt like the thing about Leslie is that he is extremely charming and funny, but he's really bright and political and everything you would want that person to be. So it was a long evening in which I got the full poo-poo platter of Leslie Jordan's existence, and I feel bad that I have not been on social media to watch him dance through this pandemic. But we also, there's something about middle-aged people dancing. The fact that, well, I'm usually outed as being a hippie trying to, kind of like breeze my way into being cool. But that dance scene was for equally. I mean, Leslie was like the John Travolta of the whole experience. He was our anchor. And so what happens is you're dancing and you sort of look over to see what move Leslie is doing, and you kind of try to, people do that. You're like, oh, that's the way. Okay.
I know. I like instantly. I was like, I need to play Band of Gold and dance around my house immediately. Like,
Oh, and then of course it's expensive to get music. So when they put on Band of Gold, I was like, oh, I know that song.
We got a little bit of money for season 2. Little bit.
So anyway,
yeah,
it was a
no,
joy.
go ahead.
It was just a joy. And those scenes you worry about, because they're actually the sort of 3-ring circus scenes are you have to stay anchored and still tell your story. And so there was more complexity to it than I had it was a difficult night. And so I found that trying to trying to imagine staying in that community with somebody as liberating as Leslie was like the magic of the idea that she would go from Ryan to Leslie was kind of the magic that set us all free.
I love so much magic. Punam, if I may come back to you, I have to tell you, I deeply identified with and connected to the reaction Kim had upon getting the Louboutins delivered at her door. I feel like I just did that when I got a pair of J.W. Anderson loafers, but right? Ryan, you know.
Yeah.
But Punam, like, how much did you relate to Kim because I think one of the things that really also stayed with me is when Kim's talking to her dad and it was like, it costs a lot of money to fit in, basically. Like, this is why I'm $46,000 in debt. I mean, how much did you understand that whole that character and the journey that she was on, just with fitting in and trying to make it in the world?
Oh, I deeply connected to it. I think, now in my 30s, I'm in a much better place where I really can celebrate myself. But I think when, you know, you're growing up and people are like, just be yourself. It's like, okay, but like how? It's very hard to just celebrate yourself in a world that's not really giving you evidence that you should be celebrated. And so I would say, you know, I grew up in Florida in a super small white town. I went to a private school with a bunch of rich white kids. I was not a rich white kid, but I spent so long such a big part of my life trying to be thin and white, for sure. Just like Kim. I remember like begging my mom to get an Abercrombie shirt in high school because I was like, all the girls are wearing Abercrombie and Hollister and Limited. And my mom's like, we're going to JCPenney. But I think, you know, it does help nowadays that I can see more people in whatever way that look like me represented. I think like representation matters. It affects how you feel about yourself. And it's like, yeah, in an ideal world, we would all just love ourselves on our own, but that's just not the way it works. Like we need representation. We need standards of beauty to change. We need people to tell us like, yeah, look, or show us we belong by putting us in different spaces and allowing us to exist. So I definitely relate to Kim also. And I feel like because Ryan and I have become such good friends, it was really nice to be able to see like little parts of Kim that he knew were parts of me too. And he really let me like collaborate in moments on set where I'm like, oh, I feel like she would say this because this is how she would feel, or this is what her dad would say to her. And Ryan is such a confident and incredible creator that he can hire people that he really trusts to help as well. And I thought that was like a really unique experience too, because yeah, there's a lot about Kim. Like I've definitely sabotaged relationships before. I've definitely had super low self-worth and be like, a hot guy like Charlie would never go for a girl like me. Like, I think I probably still would believe that if Charlie Barnett all of a sudden was straight and was like, let's go on a date, I'd be like, okay.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think Kim is so relatable on so many levels. You know, Ryan, you know, thinking season 1, multiple Emmy nominations. First, I mean, congratulations on that. But now, I mean, season 2, we're in a whole different world because that was really short form stuff. And now season 2, we get the full 30 minutes. Tell me a bit about that process in, you know, expanding each episode, which I was so thrilled at because I was always wanting more. But, you know, we get eight 30-minute episodes this time.
Yeah, well, I hated doing short form. That was like completely non-consensual. I felt like I couldn't tell the story that I wanted to tell in 15 minutes. And so I look back at season 1 and I love it. And I think we did a great job despite given no resources and no time to do the job. But I felt like no moments could breathe. It was so quick. It was so like bang, 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 bang. We were just like we were shoehorning so much growth into like truly 2 minutes. And selfishly, I just really wanted to have people know the show that it could be, because I always knew it was a half-hour show. And honestly, like on a superficial level, I think I just wanted it to be legitimized and be like, no, this is like a real half-hour TV show, babe, that's like, that accidentally became a 15-minute show. Also, selfishly, like working with Punam, I just really wanted to build out her character. I mean, I think in season 1, she's very much like Ryan's emotional support animal at work. And that just didn't feel right to me. I didn't like that. I always wanted to dive more into her character, but there was no time. So giving her a really complete arc for season 2 was really, really exciting to me, because it was always really about the 3 of them. So I really love it. I mean, I would rather have done 1 season of 30-minute episodes rather than like 2 more seasons of 15 minutes, because I would always feel like I was making concessions and sacrifices. This really does feel like the complete story. This is the complete story that I wanted to tell. And so I'm really grateful that Netflix allowed me to do it. And I also just like, you know, didn't back down. I would not have done a second season if it was 15 minutes. I just could not do it. So I'm really happy and proud of the way that it turned out, because it really feels like this is the iteration that the show should have always existed in.
Yeah, I mean, the people wanted it. I mean, I could have done hour-long episodes, but I mean, you're like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think so.
A lot of work. Jessica, for Karen and your character, I was a little nervous. I was like, when are they going to talk to each other again? In the beginning of this season, I was like, get back together. But then, obviously, spoiler alert, you do, with the two of you come back together. Do you have a favorite moment or scene or something that you've learned or any experience from this whole ride of Special? Because I feel like I said, there is such a real bond and connection between all three of you.
Yeah, well, we quite loved. There was a night when we were shooting a scene with the three of us, that we really went to town with this word chana masala, which is a certain delicious Indian dish, and it was such a joyful scene of us sharing this time together. And there's something when actors crack up that we had limited time, very limited time, but we were just we just there's such a joyful moment in saying chana masala that we we have that memory. I also loved the memory of telling Ryan that I had slept with Phil in season 2, just because it's the kind of oversharing that that mothers and son or mothers and their children sometimes have nowadays. Like, I don't think people really 50 years ago were doing this, but where they say, like, I really loved when he put his tongue, and you're just like, Mom. And and I feel like Karen doesn't have anybody to share these details with. She would have shared them with Kim easily. There's something about the fact that anybody can be your confidant that I loved about this season. That was beautiful. And I felt so bad for Kim in her relationship with her mom. I thought it was actually quite beautiful the way Ryan juxtaposed, like, the mother son relationship of between us, and what Kim didn't have, which I think was beautifully played by both mother and daughter, but very painful and very real. And anyway, I'm going off the topic. I've already told you that chana masala and telling Ryan about Phil would
I
probably.
appreciate the story though. Punam, do you want to add anything to the chana masala, or do you have another favorite experience from this season?
Well, it's because she was saying it like she almost sounded like she was learning to speak for the first time. She was like, chana masala. And like we just couldn't. That was the first like part of the scene. So it's like we were starting from that base and then we would just crumble. We like couldn't get through it. And I think Ryan at one point was supposed to be like, you guys were supposed to have tension and it was supposed to be awkward, but we could not stop laughing.
I fucked up so many takes, I feel like. I also fucked up the scene in the funeral where Karen has a breakdown moment, but then Aunt Danielle is drinking, remember? And
Oh yeah, she's like,
it's this big important moment for Jessica and for Karen, and I just couldn't stop. There's so many things where I'm like I was in the editing bay, I'm like, where are the reaction shots of me? And they're like, there's none, because literally you're laughing in every single shot. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm new at this. You know what I mean?
Aunt Danielle was iconic though.
I loved that. I also I was like literally in hysterics over in season 2 when Ryan invites Tanner back over and he answers the door and he's like, hello, how are you? And he's reading the note card. I don't know why I just lost my shit over that. It was so good. It was so funny to me.
He's a goofy bitch. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Let's talk about Tanner, because Tanner season 2 really is a big part of this story, Ryan. We don't have to give anything away if people haven't seen the final episode, but what was it like to, season 1, obviously talk about, losing virginity. Season 2, we have, like I said, multiple suitors. Good job. But Tanner obviously is a big part of this. So what was it like to kind of get to tell, that story about their relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tanner's a complicated queer character, and I think I wrote that relationship wanting the viewer not know how to feel. But they have this really big fight scene in episode 7, and my rule for fight scenes is that each character needs to be right. Like, points need to be made. So you need to be like, Ryan's right there, Tanner's right there. So I really love the nuance and complication. And like, Tanner's not a villain, Ryan's not a villain. I think they're just two people that are fundamentally not right for each other, and I think that's the journey they have to go on. So it was really nice being able to write a thorny, complicated gay character, because I think like gay characters usually exist as like the fun, flirty, like appetizer, like you go girl, like whatever, like you should ask him out, you know what I mean? And I think Tanner is someone who's kind of experienced a lot of gay trauma, and I think he presents as this kind of like whirlwind of activity, and he's kind of bombastic and fun and flirty, and I think that like, I've met a lot of people that present that way, and then you really get to know them and you're like, oh, they're a little bit of a haunted house. So I think Tanner has a little bit of a sadness that lives inside of him that he kind of masks with this sort of like plucky, infectious energy. And I think fundamentally they're not quite right for each other. And I think I really wanted to chart Ryan's growth as a character through this relationship. I think he starts off as like feeling lucky that any boy likes him likes him at all, let alone someone as kind of energetic and magnetic as Tanner. And then I think through the season, he really gains some agency and self-worth and realizes like, oh, I don't have to feel lucky just to be here. Like, this person fundamentally isn't right for me, and I can be alone, because being alone is better than being with someone who doesn't quite get me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think obviously with the legacy of this series, like, at GLAAD we've said it's, it was a GLAAD Media Award winner, you won. I think, we've never seen a look at queer life with someone who is, has a disability, and all the dating and the just personal things that they go through. So Ryan, what has it been like for you to have people respond to it? I can imagine your DMs and fan mail, I guess. I don't even know if they do that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that there have been so many people that are like, finally, I feel like I've been seen finally this, I feel, this is something I can relate to. I can see myself. What has it been like to have all of those connections?
It's really validating. I mean, starting off in Hollywood, I feel like the bulk of my career was just like trying to like make some like straight white guy in his 50s named Tom, who lives in Marina Del Rey, like try to understand my work and like what I was trying to say. And even though it was not meant for Tom, and like honestly, fuck Tom. So like I feel like having this sort of reaction, this positive reaction, and people feel really seen by something that could be considered niche or fringe is just kind of vindication. And on a personal level, it just sort of, you start to doubt yourself, like when you don't see yourself being reflected back at you on screen, it really does kind of tell you that you don't matter, and you really do internalize that, and it does affect the way you feel about yourself. But I also always knew that my existence wasn't weird. It wasn't kind of it was easy to understand, because I think if you strip us all down as humans, we kind of all want the same things. So I really do believe in specificity getting to universalness in storytelling. So yeah, having the show be so well received and have so many people connect to it that aren't just gay and disabled, because like you think about like when I was growing up, like seeing no one that resembled me, I still connected to art. I still connected to work. I mean, it took some like Carrie Strug gymnastics sometimes, but like she made it work. You know what I mean? And like, I just feel like it's sort of this short-sightedness that people have, that like, just because you're seeing someone on screen that doesn't exactly represent you, that you can't connect to it. Storytelling, when done correctly, is meant to create empathy, and it meant to show the commonalities of the human experience. So I'm not surprised that Special has resonated beyond, a subgenre of people. So yeah, Tom was wrong, and I don't want to ever worry about Tom's feelings ever again.
Sorry, Tom. Bye, Tom. Jessica, if I can come back to you, thinking about, the impact that the show has and potential to create conversations. What do you hope that people that watch this on Netflix, what do you hope that people that see Special take away from it? What's the message you want people to understand?
Oh, I think there's two messages. One is that there's a certain uh, value system that the characters all operate around, which is not to shame each other. And I think that's what happens in each dynamic that Ryan creates, is this idea of looking at each other and not creating more humiliation than we already exist with. And so that, I think, is the message of You're Okay. I'm such a product of the 70s, so I'm okay, you're okay, I guess we could quote. But I think that's the beauty, and that love, that like people all have sex. Middle-aged people have sex, gay people have sex, people with brown skin have the same kind of, it's like we all love sex. That's, I guess that should be the
Wow, that's
message.
the headline.
I was gonna say that's the headline.
love
We all,
sex.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
and that's great. No, because exactly, I think it's, it does, create a lot of conversations. Punam, for you, is there anything you want to add on, just what you hope people feel and take away from this?
Yeah, well, I agree with, generally like be easy on yourself, because a lot of times we are trying our best and it's not always going to look like that. But I feel like all the characters in the show, like, you just feel for them even when they're being like assholes, and even when you're like, no, like you're still rooting for them. And I hope that people watch the show, and I think that's what so is unique about this show. I hope they watch it and they don't think, oh, I'm watching this gay disabled man, I'm watching this middle-aged woman, I'm watching this Indian woman. I hope they are just like, I'm watching 3 characters I really love. And then when that translates to industry, I hope that makes people in the industry realize, like, you can put all of us here in alternative storylines, doing things that maybe you haven't seen us do before, and nothing bad's going to happen. And actually, you can have a really great show because of it, and we can exist alongside everyone else, and people will still be able to relate to us. Like, you don't have to be so scared. Like, it doesn't have to look the same anymore. Like, look at what Ryan has done with this show and look how well people have responded. So I hope that, bleeds into decisions made by other people too.
Absolute. Before we wrap up, Ryan, last question. What is this whole experience with Special, these 2 seasons, getting to work with this amazing crew? What has it done for you in terms of your own self-confidence in your real life and your own, feeling of worth? How has that been for you?
I mean, it's been amazing. I actually just told this story recently, but I was in Provincetown 2 summers ago. We went to the gay beach, which is like basically like gay people fucking in the dunes, living, laughing, and loving, obsessed. And I was like,
you didn't know about that place, did you?
no. And we were on our way back. It's kind of a schlep. I was like full Reese Witherspoon and wild. It was like a journey. And then we were going up the incline back into town, and I was like tripping and struggling to get up this fucking incline. And it was sort of embarrassing, not being able to do it and having to like truly like Aaliyah try again, over and over. And as I was struggling, like literally like dirt all over me, whatever, like a group of gays like walked past me and were like, oh my God, I love your show. And I'm like fully like Samara from The Ring in the dirt, and like literally and it was like old me would have like been so humiliated to be seen in that way. And then I thought, I'm like, wait, I've done a show where you see me like eat shit. You see me struggle to tie my shoes. You see me struggle to get up from a bench. Like, all of this is just out there. All of the stuff, all the daily struggles that I face as a disabled person has been committed to screen. And not only does no one care, but they love me for it and they celebrate me for it. And it was just it was like, again, like if this had happened before the show came out, I would have felt so bad about myself. And because of the show, I don't. It's really all out there now. People know exactly what I work like. They understand the microaggressions I experience. They understand the struggles that I experience on a daily level. And yeah, they just don't care. So it's been really, really important for my self-growth. And like, I just don't give a shit anymore. And I feel super, super confident. And I think that's really because of the show. So yeah, it's been good.
Oh, I love hearing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so wonderful. I guess last thing, I just had an idea. What if, just putting it out there, tell me your reaction, anyone feel free. What if we did like a special like 1 hour movie in the near future or something. Maybe a little like something, a little continuation. I don't know. What do we think about that?
I think it would have to air at a frozen yogurt pop-up in Marina Del Rey. But you know what? You know what? Jessica would be down.
That was my original commitment, was to do something at the Marina Del Rey. There's a yogurt shop. So if we could possibly pull that off still, it would make me happy, right?
Yeah, Jessica would be fine with an immersive theater moment. She would like, she'd be down for whatever.
I love it.
Site specific.
I mean,
Yeah.
here's the deal. Here's the deal. Like, this show, door to door, took 6 years. We pitched it first in 2015. It's been a huge chunk of my life. And this bitch has not been easy. I love special. I love everything it's been given me. But a lot of times it's like a bad boyfriend. Like, we're pushing this boulder up a goddamn hill. And it fucking can suck. And it can be really painful. So even though, you know, we're canceled and it's like a bummer, I think I've really come to a place where I'm ready to move on. That being said, I love this world. I love Jessica and Punam so much. We have so much goddamn fun together. And like, I know I'm like truly ruined. Like, I know, I mean, well, we will all have positive work experiences, absolutely. But it's like kind of like, you know, you'll never forget your first time. And there really was this sort of specialness, I think. So I would be down for like a movie moment later down the line, but it truly feels LOL to talk about because I don't think anyone's gonna buy that. So
Well, never say never. I'm hopeful, and maybe Ryan, we could get some of the Real Housewives, which I know you love so much, to kind of be involved somehow.
Sure. Well, I think Karen should join the Real Housewives of Carmel.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
And I think the thing with Karen is that she presents so airy fairy, whatever, like chill, but secretly she's the straw that serves the drink, and she's the one starting shit behind the scenes.
Yeah, give Karen a couple of those big old Cadillac margaritas and look out. I mean,
Yeah, I love that idea.
Okay, so there we go. It's a Real Housewives Karen special mashup in the near future. I'm here for it.
Netflix, is this thing on? Not there. The deserted office, everyone's skid marks on the driveway.
Well, the three of you, Ryan, Punam, Jessica, it has been such a pleasure. Like, as you know, Ryan, I adore you. I adore the show. Congratulations. And everyone, thank you for joining this conversation today. And reminder that season 2 of Special is available to stream on Netflix right now. Go binge it all. 8 amazing 30-minute episodes this time. And happy Pride, everyone. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to see Ryan and Punam.
You too.
I love you guys.